When and where should you be doing your internal networking? I'm Greg, I'm the introverted networker, and I've spent a few episodes talking about networking internally. This is networking in the company you already work at. And I've been talking about it from an employee perspective, how to do it, and also from an employer perspective in terms of how you teach your employees to network internally, why that's beneficial, and what that might look like, right? What would be the value to you? And so those concepts are great, but I'm sure if you're an HR leader or a CEO or CFO or somebody else watching this, or even if you're an employee watching this, you're thinking, sounds good. I would love to network internally. It'd be great for my career. When and where do I do that? And I want to talk a little bit today about three places where I think it would be great to, number one, teach people to network. Three times and places in your company where you could teach people about these networking skills so they can do it all the time. That's the goal. But also, if you're an employee, these are also opportunities for you to engage in these places and times in order to grow your own network. So I'm going to look at that from both points of view, because a lot of people who read my newsletter, they might not be HR leaders or other executives of a company. They're individual employees and they want to improve their career. They want to grow, whether it's with the company or somewhere else. So they're here learning to network. So I need to tell that audience how to do this. And at the same time, I want to show leaders that this is a valuable thing to do in your organization for the purpose of improving trust, improving engagement, driving employee retention. So we're going to jump into that. I'm going to tell you the three places where I think it would be a great opportunity to both teach people how to network, and also, if you're an employee, these are great places for you to expand your network internally. Number one, company onsites / offsites, whatever you're calling them these days. We used to, when we were in the office 5 days a week, we called them offsites because you got out of the office and went somewhere and had a big meeting, and you got away and you talked about strategy and goals and got people motivated for the year. And we had COVID and everybody went home, and then we started to just get people on site back in the office and having these meetings. So my point is this, that lots of companies have big meetings once a year, maybe twice a year, where they bring everybody together and they talk about what the company's doing and what the strategies are. And also they bring people together so they get to meet each other and develop these relationships. And it's a one-time thing. It's an event. Everybody gets together. People have some dinner, maybe a few drinks, if that's what you're into, and everybody kind of socializes. And the goal is to develop those relationships. And there's nothing wrong with that. At the same time, if you're having one of those and you're not teaching your employees during one of those sessions how to network internally at your organization, you're missing an opportunity, because you're assuming that everybody comes to these on-sites and they know exactly how to connect with people, how to have deeper conversations, how to get to know people, how to develop relationships. You're assuming all adults know how to do this. And I think I've found that's the wrong assumption. A lot of adults are not comfortable with these things. And especially if you're an introverted employee and you were asked to go to one of these big on-sites, you're probably like dreading all the social times. You know you have to go because your boss is probably going to be there, your leader's going to be there. You can't just skip it. And at the same time, you're very uneasy in these situations. So how do you acknowledge that as a leader and teach your employees, hey, while we're here at these on-sites, here's some strategies you could use in order to make connections with your coworkers, your colleagues, develop those work relationships that will help you collaborate better, trust each other, work across teams, get us to the point where we're delivering on these goals we're talking about. So I think an HR leader could, have somebody come teach them how to navigate these networking conversations, and also develop a plan so that when you leave this on-site that you might have once a year, you're going back to your organization, your company, your day-to-day work, and you're building networking into what you do on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis. You're showing people those strategies, how to reach out, how to connect, how to continue to have those conversations, how to build a habit around this in a way that will enable your employees to continue networking internally, even when they're not at these onsites. So you're taking advantage of the onsite to train them, and then you're training them in skills that will help them throughout the year. And again, the value to your organization is people get to know each other. They build relationships. They feel a more powerful connection and sense of belonging in your organization. They're more likely to be engaged. They're more likely to be retained. And you get all of those benefits by showing them at one of these onsites, here's how to network. So that's number one, the onsites. I think that's a big opportunity for organizations that they're letting go slip by if they're not using it to train people on how to network when they're not at the onsite. And again, if you're an employee that has to go to one of these, this is a great time to employ some of these networking tactics that I've been talking about. If you've been following the podcast or the videos or reading the newsletter, there's a lot of information in there you could use in those situations to help you network. Think of it like a conference. Like your onsite is like a company conference, and I've got several issues where I talk about how to go to a conference and network, and a lot of it has to do with preparation and what you do before and what you do after. All those things will work and help you be a better networker and help you grow your career by networking internally. The second place is what is called employee resource groups. So ERGs, or employee resource groups, are places where, or groups of people within an organization that are a bit self-formed. They usually have an executive sponsor, an executive leader. They tend to form around underrepresented groups of people. So oftentimes there is a women's ERG. There might be ERGs for different ethnicities, or ERGs from people from different locations and places. And these are an opportunity for those people to come together and talk and share similar experiences. And a lot of times, especially in geographically dispersed companies, these are maybe Slack channels or Teams groups or monthly meetings or webinars or things like that. I think if you're running one of those or you have those at your company, it's a great time to talk to those people, not just about connecting with the people in the ERG, but how do you then learn how to go navigate the organization and do some of that internal networking. So having somebody come speak about networking and teach people about networking in those ERGs is valuable for those members because it enables them to go network internally in the organization and also within the ERG. So it teaches them those same skills. But that's a time when you have people together and they're specifically getting together to learn how to be more connected to the company. I mean, ERGs are developed to foster some of that connection and give a voice to some of those groups within the company. So what better way to help them grow in the company than to teach them how to network? Now, again, if you're in an ERG, if you're a member, you can use a lot of, again, the techniques that I talk about in this newsletter, which is, find some people that you're going to connect with, reach out to them, start the initial conversation, have the voice-to-voice conversation, start to get to know them, ask them about themselves, learn what makes them tick, see how you can help them. And if they want to help you, be easy to help. All this stuff is about creating these networking habits, and it all applies in these different groups if you will use it and put it into practice. The last one I want to talk about is leadership development programs. Many big companies have these, not every company, but a lot of companies have a leadership development program where a group of selected people get to participate in it. Sometimes it's a cohort, so you'll maybe have 20 people going through it for a few months and maybe then another 20 people, or you have a group of people that do this for a couple of years. Sometimes they're new hires. They are specifically selected because they're high potentials. And they're people who the company invests a lot of time and money into training and giving good experience because they see them as the future of the company. Within a leadership development program, they oftentimes rotate around to different departments. And so that's great exposure for them. They kind of learn how to build those relationships throughout the organization. But in my experience, and I've seen leadership development programs at different companies, some people in those leadership development programs are better at connecting and developing relations than other. And so those relationships carry on after they're out of the program. And those people who are good at this and are well networked really see their careers take off. Other people don't learn this or know this as much, and maybe they're a little bit more introverted. They're not really one who's going to keep up with people unless they learn how. And so they don't see the same sort of benefits in the leadership development program. So If you're an HR leader and you have a leadership development program, are you teaching those people how to network in the organization, how to make this a habit, how to do these things on a consistent basis so that they can take advantage of this opportunity they have? Now, not everybody's in the leadership development program, and I understand that. If you're not and your company has one, you should be connecting and networking with the people who are. And the reason why I say that is because they're getting an opportunity to be connected in the company. If you're reaching out to them and they're becoming a strong connection, somebody who they know and who they are going to talk about you as they navigate the organization. If you become a resource for them, they're going to remember you and create potential opportunities for you. So some people have a chip on their shoulder about these leadership development programs because, again, not everybody gets in. And that's just a matter of resources. I think lots of companies would love to put everybody through these, but at the same time, they don't have the resources to train everybody and put them through these programs. So if you're not there, instead of having that chip on your shoulder, maybe you could start to make connections and get to know people who are in that program and really learn what they're doing. And you're kind of learning vicariously through them. But they're definitely good people to connect with. So again, if you're an HR leader and you're not doing this in your leadership program, you should think about adding networking training to your leadership development program. If you're not in the program, you should be thinking about connecting with those people using these sort of leadership development, these connecting with these people to take advantage of that leadership development opportunity. So those are the three places inside a company where I think there's a great opportunity for leaders to put networking training in place to help people grow their internal networks. And if you're in a company and they have any of these three things, you can take advantage of those places, those times to do your own internal networking and really grow your career. So hopefully that opens your eyes a little bit, gives you some ideas of places you can go within your organization to network. That's what I'm here to do, is help you think of some different ways to do this, make you better networkers. So take some of these ideas, see if you can put them in place this week. Go out there. Remember, as always, I say it every week, you hear this all the time. For me, it's ABC, always be connecting.